Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So hype right now. Anything's possible. Oh, my mama. Oh, my mama made it, ma. Anything's possible.
Rain J's back with the vengeance. All the real Celtics fans in attendance. This the truth like 34. This like walking in the garden when you hear the roars. The crowd goes crazy. Most in-depth coverage on the daily. Mainly podcast royalty, the content kings. When you talking about the franchise with 17 rings. Focus like Danny at the deadline. Global, but it got a local feel like the red line, the blue line, the green line. Play it in between time. I'ma throw my C's jersey on in the meantime and press play. When the F's done, I can't wait until the next day. Trying to stay in tune with the C's, that's the best way. Melly.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, welcome to the first Locked On Celtics podcast. Yeah, I'm doing them on YouTube now, so if you're just finding me, the Locked On Celtics podcast has been available for a while. It's the number one Boston Celtics podcast on the planet, and if you want to subscribe to get your podcast to your device, you can do that, but you can also subscribe to this channel because every one of these podcasts is going to be on YouTube every day, Monday through Friday. It's a daily Monday through Friday podcast. I host the show every day. I cover the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal, and I've written a book called The Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. It is available everywhere books are sold, and if you want to get a signed copy, you can follow me on Twitter at RedsArmy_John. I have a pinned tweet for my book signing on April 29th, and you can hop in on that. Get a personalized book sent right out to you. Lots of fun there. Today on the podcast, I am going to spend the first segment talking about just things that happened in practice today. I should say on Wednesday, the Celtics had their second practice since the All-Star break. So obviously you don't get a chance to practice very much. But just a couple of updates there. And then in the second and third segments, I'll break down the upcoming schedules for the Celtics, Hawks, Heat, Knicks, Charlotte Hornets, trying to get a sense of where that 4 through 8 is going to land. Let's start with our sponsor today, Locker Room. Locker Room is on iOS, so download the app. You can join me on Friday I do a regular show on Fridays. Hop on in. It's usually about 45 minutes or so. We get to chat. I bring you on stage. You get to talk to me. It's like sports talk radio, but it's an app. So check me out there. Locker Room is changing the way we talk about sports. So the Boston Celtics held their practice today, and Brad Stevens, I asked Brad Stevens about an injury update, and let's just say it was lengthy.
Start with John Karalis.
Hey, Brad, can we start with a health update? The guys that were out, are they back?
Oh, man. Kemba did not practice, was not here, still feeling a little bit under the weather. Hopeful that he'll be able to go tomorrow, but unsure. Jaylen is doubtful for tomorrow. He was here. He's got a left shoulder bursitis. Let's see. Smart was back. Evan Fournier's in the building, but he's still in health and safety protocols as far as, game availability. And Rob tried to do a little bit more and won't be able to go tomorrow either, so he'll be out tomorrow too.
Not great. So the official injury report lists Jaylen Brown with that left shoulder bursitis. That's not a comfortable feeling if you've ever had bursitis. He's doubtful. Evan Fournier is out. You just heard. Jason Tatum questionable with a left ankle impingement. But Tatum in that same media availability said, ankle feels fine. Ankle is feeling pretty good. I don't see why I wouldn't play tomorrow. So Tatum is going to play. Kemba Walker is probable with a non-COVID illness, so that's good. And Robert Williams out with that left knee soreness. So the question is, what is that thing with the left knee? They said it's day-to-day, but hard to say what is really bothering Robert Williams. But Celtics will be missing Evan Fournier. They will be missing Robert Williams. On the plus side, it does look like Kemba's going to play. I don't know about Jaylen Brown. He's probably out. But you'll have Marcus Smart back. So the Celtics against the Phoenix Suns will not be at full strength. That does make things a bit difficult for the Celtics against the Suns. Brooklyn Nets are next, and they have a ton of injuries. I don't know who's going to play for the Brooklyn Nets. Is Kevin Durant going to be back? Is James Harden going to be back? There's a chance that the Celtics could actually win that game. Now, also in practice here, Brad Stevens was asked about vaccinations. A lot of people are asking, are these non-COVID illnesses vaccination related? He wouldn't say. He did say, quote, many of our team travel party coaching staff have been vaccinated. Well, the players are part of the team travel party, so I'm going to assume that he means them, but they are being very, very vague when it comes to who's gotten vaccinated. They're very vague when it comes to all of the COVID stuff. So I don't know. I can't say if any of these guys have gotten sick because they've gotten the vaccinations. I don't know that they're in that timeline, because just a week or two ago, Danny Ainge was saying that they're trying to get the players their vaccinations. And if it's one of those 3-week things like the Pfizer thing, then maybe they haven't gotten their second shots yet, even if they've gotten their first ones. I don't know what the case is, but that's what Brad Stevens said. Maybe they've been vaccinated. Maybe they haven't. I'm assuming maybe some of the players have begun to. Everybody's eligible now in Massachusetts, so they probably were ready to go first in line once that happened. But even if it was, April 19th was the beginning of the vaccinations, the allowances there. So I don't know that second shot that people are saying causes them the illness is what's causing any of this stuff. The other thing about Jason Tatum is, speaking of the vaccinations and COVID, he did say that he talked to Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier, it hasn't been officially confirmed where Evan Fournier said, yes, I had COVID, but Danny Ainge basically confirmed it on the radio, and Jason Tatum basically confirmed it when he said, quote, I've talked to him quite a bit. He's asked me things. And I told him how I felt and what to look out for when you get back. I think the toughest period is when you first get back, obviously because you've been sitting down now for a while because of the virus. Hopefully he'll be all right. So you don't say that about somebody who's been in contact tracing. Evan Fournier's had COVID. He's getting over it now. And then he's been in the building. He was in the building. You just heard Brad Stevens say that. And so I'm assuming that means he'll go through the final tests. And that's, you got to get cleared for heart stuff. Like you got to go through a cardiologist, and he's got to, or she's got to clear you for the your heart test, and you make sure that you don't have that myocarditis that has hindered athletes. And you saw a couple of people have to take extended time off because of it. So that's something that he has to pass before he can come back. So he's out for sure against Phoenix. And then is he going to be back against Brooklyn? I don't know. So that's basically the updates from practice. Don't know much about anything else. It was just a couple of availabilities there in practice. And we'll find out more about Jaylen Brown, hopefully before the game tomorrow. Try to get a little bit more information and see if he's going to be out extended period, if he's going to be impacted. It's a left shoulder, so it's not a shooting shoulder, but still, you're swinging your arm around. You're using that left arm for stuff. To me, that shoulder still has to be used. So we're gonna need to find out more about Jaylen Brown. All right, up next, I'm going to talk about the schedules and where will the Celtics fall. Can they get to the fourth seed? Where will they fall when all is said and done? I've done the analysis, and I'm going to share that with you next. Hey, don't let the stress of daily life weigh on your body, whether you're an elite athlete or someone like me, who my playing days are way gone, and I am sitting in this seat a whole lot. You need Theragun. Theragun can help. Theragun is a percussive device that releases your deepest muscle tension using scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power. It's quiet as an electric toothbrush. Gen 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of pain by releasing tension using Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out or an injury or just the stresses of everyday life, there's no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. The OLED screen is designed to make you feel like you're holding something from the future. Just go to the site and check it out. And the Theragun app learns from your behaviors and suggests guided routines. That's pretty cool. Try Theragun for 30 days, starting at only $199. Theragun is trusted by 250 sports teams like Real Madrid, elite athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, hundreds of thousands of customers. So check them out. Go to Theragun.com/lockdown right now to get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's Theragun.com/lockdown. Theragun.com/locked-on. Now, I am doing what I love by sitting here and podcasting and now broadcasting on YouTube. And I can tell you that Brian at Crack Hot Sauce, CRAIC, is doing what he loves. He is a former Celtics employee, and he is now a season ticket holder sitting in section 304. He's been making small batch craft hot sauces under the Crack Sauce label since 2017. All right. He is getting his ingredients from local sources, local farms. So you make sure that you see the Massachusetts flavor in what he's making. The ingredients are local. The people making it are local. They're Celtics fans. I think we need to support our fellow Celtics fans and really give yourself a shot at this great hot sauce. I've tried it. These are amazing hot sauces. I like putting hot sauce on like everything. It's amazing. I love a little kick with my food. And these not only give you the kick, but the flavor that matches what you're trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just put Tabasco on things, and that's fine. But why not have something like golden pumpkin or 40 shades of green chili? Those are part of the crack sauce complete collection. You can see it on the screen on YouTube. It's CRAIC. It's an Irish word. And if you go to cracksauce.com, that's CRAIC sauce.com, you have you can get 10% off with the promo code Celtics on the complete collection. 40 shades of green chili, Brian's Boru curry, Mill City Red, and golden pumpkin. Use that promo code Celtics for 10% off at checkout. It makes a great gift for any hot sauce lover in your life. It makes a great gift for yourself. It is just delicious. And crack is an Irish word meaning good time. So I'm confident you're going to have a good time kicking up your dishes a notch with these locally made flavorful sauces. So check them out at CRAIC sauce.com today. All right, we're going to be back with more of the Locked On Celtics podcast next. I broke down on Boston Sports Journal the schedules for all four teams that the Celtics are in competition with. The Celtics are they're knocking on the door of the fourth seed. They've been perpetually like the number one or one game away from the fourth seed. They are in this battle with the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks, the Miami Heat, and the Charlotte Hornets. The Atlanta Hawks lost to the New York Knicks. They lost Trae Young to an ankle injury. That's going to be a big problem for the Atlanta Hawks. If they lose him for any extended amount of time, that's going to be a real issue. And so the way the standings shake out right now, New York Knicks are the fourth seed. The Atlanta Hawks are a half game behind them. The Boston Celtics are a game behind the fourth seed. Miami Heat are 2 games out of 4, and the Charlotte Hornets are 3.5 games out. So, and let's see, who else is playing tonight? I don't think any of the other teams are playing tonight. So we're good here. All right. The Celtics, I still think they can finish in the 4th seed. But here's the remaining schedule for the Celtics. Phoenix, Brooklyn on a back-to-back. That's tomorrow or tonight, Thursday, and Friday. At Charlotte, Oklahoma City, Charlotte on the back-to-back, San Antonio, Portland, at Orlando, at Chicago, Miami in a home-and-home series, at Cleveland on the back-to-back, Minnesota and New York. At Minnesota, at New York on a back-to-back to end the season. I think the Celtics have an opportunity to, I think what they need to do here is actually beat the bad teams. They need to beat these teams like Charlotte. They need to beat Oklahoma City. They need to beat Chicago. They can't be screwing around here. They need to beat Cleveland. They need to beat New York. And New York is a tough team. They need to beat Minnesota. Those games that they should win, like they need to win all of these games that they should win. What they can't do is have those lapses like they've had in the past where they lose to Sacramento and Cleveland and those teams. You can't have those lapses again. But the Celtics have the opportunity here. They have one of the weakest schedules remaining here in the East and one of the weakest among this group. The New York Knicks have the hardest remaining schedule. So they're in the 4th seed right now. They played Atlanta already, so they play Toronto next, which they should win. Phoenix, Chicago. They go to Houston. This is a big road trip here. They go to Houston, which is a winnable game. At Memphis on a back-to-back, which is going to be tough. At Denver, at Phoenix, at the Clippers, at the Lakers. Anthony Davis is coming back. LeBron James could be back by then. San Antonio, which is a close to 500 team, or they are a 500 team. Then Charlotte and Boston at the end. So Boston has an opportunity here against all of these teams. That trip for the New York Knicks, that stretch of Memphis, Denver, Phoenix, and both LA teams, that has a strong potential to be a 5-game losing streak. And if they don't do what they need to do against Chicago and Houston and Toronto, if San Antonio is a problem, if Charlotte's a problem, if Boston's a problem, that stretch right there, any losing streak is going to be problematic for the New York Knicks. And so I don't think that the Knicks are going to end up very high in this remaining schedule in the standings. The Miami Heat have San Antonio, Atlanta, at Atlanta, Chicago twice at home, San Antonio, at Cleveland, at Charlotte on a back-to-back, Dallas, Minnesota, at Boston twice, Philly, at Milwaukee, and they finish at Detroit on the back-to-back. Then Charlotte has, did I do Atlanta? I didn't do Atlanta yet. Atlanta has a real tough schedule. Let's do the Atlanta Hawks here. At New York, Miami, Milwaukee, at Detroit on a back-to-back, Philly twice, Chicago on the back-to-back, Portland, Phoenix, at Indiana, Washington at home twice, and then Orlando on a back-to-back, and they finish with Houston. That Milwaukee, Detroit, Philadelphia twice, and Chicago, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. That happens in 7 nights. So if the Atlanta Hawks have lost Trae Young for a while, here's their problem. Miami's not going to be easy. Milwaukee is not going to be easy. That's 2 potential losses right there. Without Trae Young, they really are going to lose those games, right? At Detroit has like weird good games, right, against good teams. But even if they win that, then you got to play Philly twice and then go to Chicago on a back-to-back. Atlanta is in a deep, deep funk here, I think. Then Portland, Phoenix, at Indy is not going to be easy. The 2 Washington just beat Golden State. Orlando's, in the tank. Houston's in the tank, but Atlanta could be in for it. Atlanta could be in for a struggle. I don't know how Atlanta recovers. If they don't have Trae Young, they could really, really slide. Then let's just run down the Charlotte schedule. Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, Milwaukee. Cleveland's a back-to-back. At Boston, Detroit, Miami on a back-to-back. At Detroit, Chicago, Orlando on a back-to-back. New Orleans, Denver, the Clippers, at New York, and at Washington on a back-to-back to finish the season. That's the rundown of these schedules. If you want to go through it real quick, the strength of schedule favors Boston very well. New York has the toughest remaining schedule. They have the 5th hardest remaining schedule in the league. That's brutal for them. And Atlanta is behind them, as you saw. That's going to be a really tough schedule. Miami and Boston are tied with relatively easy schedule, and Charlotte has the easiest. But Charlotte is furthest back in the standings. So when I come back, I'll really break down where I think these games are going to go and what I think the Celtics are going to end up doing here. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your sports action. Football might be over, but NBA, college basketball, and the NHL are in full swing. BetOnline is they cover award shows, TV shows, reality TV. They got real-time updated odds and props and just about everything that you can imagine. So head on over to the website, betonline.ag, or use your mobile device to sign up today and get a 50% welcome bonus with the promo code LOCKEDON. That's right. Get a 50% welcome bonus with the promo code LOCKEDON after you make your first deposit. So whatever it is, $100, you'll get a $50 welcome bonus from BetOnline with that promo code LOCKEDON. They've got you covered for all the news, scores, and odds. It's the best way to place your bets, and it is free to sign up. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Please gamble responsibly. Rock Auto is the place to go for all of your car needs. Whatever you need, something simple, something complicated, it's all going to be at rockauto.com. I've had people DM me and say that they've saved hundreds of dollars by going to rockauto.com. If you go to rockauto.com, you'll see right on the front page, they compare prices of what they have versus what's at the other places. Don't even bother go to one of those chain stores, because rockauto.com is going to give you the best deal without you having to tell the person behind the counter what your specs are or any of that stuff. You can just enter it yourself into the website. Very easy to use website, and you can save yourself a trip to a place that doesn't have much in stock. Whatever's on the shelves is what you're going to get. RockAuto.com is a family business that's been serving auto parts customers online for 20 years. Go to RockAuto.com and shop for auto parts and body parts from hundreds of manufacturers. Check them out right now. When you go there, when you buy something, write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. It's RockAuto.com, the amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the car parts your car will ever need at RockAuto.com. The Ultimate Mock Draft 2021, presented by Locked On and Odyssey, is happening right now, featuring analysis from NFL experts Michael Irvin, Jason LaCamera, and Brian Baldinger. Our local experts for every team will be making trades, picking the next stars for their team. Search the Ultimate Mock Draft 2021 on the new Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Odyssey is your home for all the sports, podcasts, news, and music that matter to you. That's AUDACY. So I laid out the schedules for the 5 teams that are in the mix for the 4th seed. Boston Celtics, as I said, trail. They're a game out. They're always a game out, it seems, all season long. A game out of 4th. But I think they're in a good position. And so after looking at everything, I think, okay, Phoenix and Brooklyn are going to be tough. But it doesn't matter if they don't beat Phoenix and Brooklyn. That's fine. You got to beat Charlotte. You got to beat OKC. Charlotte twice. There's 3 wins there. San Antonio's iffy. Portland's going to be tough. Depends on how healthy they are. Orlando, Chicago, Cleveland, Minnesota. 1, 2, 3, 4 more wins there. That's 7 more wins. Can they beat New York? Can they keep them at bay? Can they beat Miami in one of these games? So that's what, 9 wins. Can they beat San Antonio or Portland? If the Celtics, who have, 14 games left, they've played 58 games left. So 14 games left for the Celtics. If they win 9, they go 9-5. Well, let's see what that can get you. The Atlanta Hawks just lost to New York, okay? Miami, especially if they don't have Trae Young, Miami's a loss. Milwaukee's a loss. Those 2 Philly games are losses. Let's count up their wins. Detroit, Chicago. If we give them both Washington games, which I don't want to, but Orlando, Houston, 2, 4, 5, 6, that's not going to get it done. They fall behind Boston. And I think they have a strong possibility of losing one of those Washington games if they're not healthy, or if they're if Washington's looking to play spoiler. They have a strong possibility of losing. I could see them losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those games between now and that end of the stretch. Maybe they'll beat Detroit, but on a back-to-back, if they don't have Trae, forget it. So this loss to New York could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game losing streak, 6 game losing streak. I can see it. It's possible. That will knock them below Boston. The Knicks, okay, so they just beat Atlanta. Toronto could be a win. Now, the Knicks have the worst record against winning teams. Boston has they're 14-17 against winning teams. Not great, but it's the best record against teams above 500. Charlotte is 13-21. Atlanta is 12-19, actually 12-20 now, and New York is 12-18 after this. Miami 11-19. So Miami is the worst against good teams. New York and Atlanta are not great. Charlotte's, Boston's, but that's the best of them all. So I think the Knicks are in for a rough road. What wins can we give them? Toronto could be a win. So I'll give you Toronto. That's 1. Chicago is 2. Ooh. San Antonio? Maybe. Let's be generous. 3. Charlotte, let's be generous. 4. Boston could knock them out. That could be a key game there. But Phoenix, loss. Memphis on a back-to-back at Memphis, loss. I was generous before. I'm not going to be generous now. At Denver, at Phoenix, at the Clippers, at the Lakers, loss. I think the Celtics, if they can win those 9 games, the Knicks fall behind the Boston Celtics. Miami. Now, Miami needs to make up ground. They're a game behind the Celtics. And so that stretch, those 2 games between Miami and Boston could be huge. Miami wins those, then Boston's in trouble. If the Celtics can win those, if they can win one or both, if the Celtics win both, then Miami's done. But what wins do the Heat have? At Atlanta, sure. Chicago twice, sure. Let's be generous. That's 3. Cleveland is 4. Minnesota is 5. Detroit is 6. Now, iffy ones. Do they beat Boston at all? Can they beat San Antonio? They got 2 games at San Antonio. Can they win a couple of games against San Antonio? But in this stretch, the Miami Heat, they have to beat Boston. Have to make that leap, because they need to get a tiebreaker in on this. That's the other thing. At this point, do the Celtics? I'm going to check out real quick what the Celtics have against Miami here. They beat Miami once. The other game was postponed, so this is why they're playing twice. So they have one win against Miami. They need one more win against Miami to get the tiebreaker. So that would be 2 games. That's why that stretch is important. They would have basically a 2-game lead on Miami if they could win one of those games, because having the tiebreaker is huge in this scenario. So I don't see the Miami Heat catching Boston either. And the Charlotte Hornets are the last one. They've got more ground to make up, because the Charlotte Hornets, first of all, I just don't think that they're that good. They're fun to watch, but they're 10.5 games. So let's see, 2.5 games behind Boston. Are they going to make up 3 games in that stretch? Not if Boston wins 9 of those games. If they go 9-5, Boston's good. So Charlotte, but let's look at it anyway. Chicago, let's give it to them. Cleveland on a back-to-back, fine. They've got a Detroit game. They got 2 Detroit games. That's 4. We'll give them an Orlando game. That's 5. And then Washington at the end. That's 6. So they're still not making up any ground against Boston. Meanwhile, they play Boston twice. So Boston wins one of those games, it's effectively over. 3.5 games, 2.5 games is not enough. This is not enough time to make up that kind of ground. Not with the Celtics having an easy schedule. Now, of course, there are pitfalls, and I'm not going to sit here and say the Celtics are exactly known for trouncing their easy opponents, but the Celtics have shown that they've turned things around. So I like the Celtics. I like their schedule. I think the Celtics end up in 4th. After all this is said and done, I still like the Celtics to end up in the 4th seed. I think Atlanta and New York are primed for a real drop. And the real question is, can Miami make up this ground, which would set up a Boston-Miami 4-5 series, which we don't want. That's the one team I want to avoid. Now, if Atlanta can make up some of those games, or maybe if Trae Young isn't that hurt, then it's possible that the Celtics will face Atlanta. I think Atlanta in the first round is the best scenario. And then Philly in the second round, that's the team that I'd want of those 3 elite teams, as I've talked about, and I'll talk about it again. So I like where the Celtics are. All things considered, we're at the point where the Celtics could be the 4th seed, which is right where I thought they would be at the beginning of the season. A 4th seed with a chance to win a first-round series, get past the second-round opponent, and get to the conference finals. Now, the second-round opponent this year is going to be a little harder. That road is a little tougher than I thought it was going to be. So, but I did think the Celtics' ceiling was a 4th seed and an Eastern Conference Finals out. They're kind of on track, not as easily as I thought they'd be, but they're right there. The schedules are brutal for New York and Atlanta. Atlanta's going to have bad luck here if Trae Young does not get well. And Miami puts it together. They're in that no one wants to face them in the playoffs kind of scenario. So that's the show. Hope you've enjoyed it. This is my first time on YouTube, and it's a little difficult doing this, producing stuff with no producer, just doing it myself and clicking things and unclicking things and trying to figure out how this is going to go. But I'll try to get used to it as best I can, and we'll figure it out from there. Hopefully you enjoy it and subscribe, and who knows? Who knows how this is going to go? We'll fix it along the way, you know? But subscribe to the Locked On Celtics YouTube page. Subscribe to Locked On Celtics if you're a new podcast listener, and get it directly to your device Monday through Friday. You regular listeners, I love the fact that you keep you've subscribed and you keep sharing the love, and I really do appreciate it. The 5-star ratings, the good written reviews are amazing. Keep doing that. If you haven't done that, I would love one. And share the podcast. Tell all your friends that they should be listening to the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network.